broadcasting station that brings you the Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 radio talk show that keeps it real, no sugar. STMK Radio 100 also presents At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller Show. Check out Brother Bill's Bible Study radio broadcast here on STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central. STMK Radio 100 does Ustream Live TV, FaceTime, phone interviews, chat rooms, the new emerging artist show, sports talk, dance music shows, book reading shows, and much more coming very soon right here on STMK Radio 100. Contact us. Visit our website at stmkradio100.com or email us directly at stmkradio100@aol.com. Give us a call at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Call us now. STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Yes, this is a PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a Kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
Marcia Williams hasn't seen her son in more than 8 years.
Do you have any hope your son is still alive?
I don't believe that Terrance is alive. At this point, I have to find out what happened to him.
What happened to Terrance Williams is anybody's guess. He was last seen outside this Naples, Florida cemetery on January 11th, 2004, with this man, Sheriff's Deputy Steve Calkins.
Investigators say Calkins' story about meeting Terrance Williams here at the cemetery just doesn't add up. At one point, Calkins said he pulled Terrance Williams' car over because it was having problems. But when he called his friend in dispatch, he reported the car had been abandoned. He never let on he'd had any contact with the driver, Terrance Williams.
I got a homey Cadillac on the side of the road here. Signal 11, signal 52, nobody around. Maybe he's out there in the cemetery. Come back in his car, I'll be gone.
But if the driver was not around, how then was Deputy Calkins able to run a background check using Terrance's name and birth date?
Last name? Williams. Thomas Deley. Date of birth? 4/1/75. Black male.
Yet just 4 days later, Calkins claims to remember nothing of the car or the driver. Listen to what he says when a sheriff's dispatcher calls him at home.
She had a car from Vanderbilt to 111th Monday, a Cadillac. Do you remember it?
No.
Do you remember? She said it was near the cemetery.
Cemetery.
And the people at the cemetery are telling her you put somebody in the back of your vehicle and arrested them, and I don't show you arresting anybody.
I never arrested nobody.
Isn't that amazing? He's a seasoned veteran, and he couldn't remember 4 days later.
So you don't buy that?
No, it's not true. It's not true at all.
8 days after Terrance vanished, Deputy Calkins was ordered to write a report. And it's in this report that a different story emerges. Deputy Calkins says he drove the 27-year-old father of 4 to this nearby Circle K, where he says he thought Terrance worked. And it's that version of events that concerned investigators, because just months earlier, they'd heard the same story from Deputy Calkins about another missing man. 23-year-old Felipe Santos vanished October 14, 2003, after Deputy Calkins responded to the scene of a minor accident involving Santos. He issued Santos a citation and put him in the back of his sheriff's car.
Did Deputy Calkins tell you where he was taking your brother?
The officer never told us anything. Later we went to the jail and my brother wasn't there.
When Calkins was questioned about Felipe Santos, an undocumented worker, he told investigators he dropped Santos off at a Circle K. Sheriff's investigator Kevin O'Neill.
We have no independent corroboration of anybody telling us that they saw Williams or Santos at one of these Circle Ks. That's strictly Calkins' testimony. And I think we can add up where we could put his testimony at this point.
O'Neill says neither of the missing men was ever seen on Circle K security cameras. And there's more.
About a month after Terrance Williams disappeared, Steve Calkins gave a sworn statement during an interrogation. He told investigators he had called this Circle K, where he says he dropped Terrance Williams off. He told investigators he made that call from his work-issued Nextel phone. But when investigators said they'd pulled his phone records and told him there was no record of a call to this Circle K from his cell phone, he brushed it off, saying simply, quote, "I don't know what to tell you."
You've been doing this for a long time. You know when something doesn't smell right. Do you think that Deputy Calkins had anything to do with the disappearance and possible death of these 2 men?
He's absolutely in the middle of the investigation. Everything I turn to brings me right back to Steve Calkins.
Months after Santos and Williams went missing, Deputy Calkins, a 16-year veteran, was fired for lying in connection with the investigation of Terrance Williams. Calkins hasn't been charged with a crime because no criminal evidence was ever found linking Calkins to the disappearances. In the case of Terrance Williams, investigators say the deputy's car was searched and described as immaculate. Calkins' home was never searched because, according to investigators, they didn't have the evidence needed for a search warrant. In 2006, Calkins did tell a local paper he didn't do anything wrong, blaming the coincidences of the missing men on very bad luck. He suggested maybe they ran away.
If Terrance was alive, Terrance would have had somebody to contact his mother. I know for sure that's one thing that he would do in a heartbeat. Call my mama.
Naples, Florida.
Hey, good evening, Facebook Live, YouTube, Snapchat, and SoundCloud. We're glad to have you here in our sister city. Picking us up now is Memphis Internet Radio. You know, we're going to talk about a case, but before we do that, in Studio 51 with me tonight is Tone the Stone, the Diamond Boy. What's up, Tone the Stone?
As always, yours truly. Thanks for having me again. And what's up, Stop the Madness and everybody else out there?
You know, this your home right here. And we got a guest, everybody, in the Blue Room with us coming out, a foreign exchange student. And I don't want to butcher your name, but is it Abdel? Nabeel. Hey, welcome with us on Stop the Madness. Let's keep it 100. We're going to talk to him a little bit later on, folks, and let you know what he's doing here in the States. And we're going to go into some issues about that before. Now, our case tonight, we're going to shine a light on it because Terrance Williams has been missing from Collier County since January 2004, when he was last seen with a Collier County deputy sheriff. And newly released audio records show that sheriff deputy lied about being the last person that sees this man alive. As we go in depth into this case, you're going to see that this is something that's very, very disturbing. In his mind, Jason Gonzalez said he knows that his roommate is dead, but in his heart, he hopes that one day he'll see him again. Sometimes you have to have dreams about him coming back, said Gonzalez. It has been over 15 years since Terrance Williams disappeared. According to Collier County Sheriff's Office, the 27-year-old was last seen in January of 2004 by then Corporal Stephen Calkins, who was a deputy sheriff. Calkins said Williams was having a car trouble that day, so he pulled him over near a North Naples cemetery, and then he gave him a ride to a convenience store. The traffic stop was never called in, but later Calkins had Williams' car towed. 4 days later, when Williams' mother was desperately looking for her missing son, Calkins denied ever seeing him. Now, Tone, this is an in-depth case. I don't know if you got into it. Did you get a chance to get into it?
I've checked it out a little bit when you brought it to my attention. Listened to some of that audio and and just read up a little bit about it. But I'm not gonna lie, this is one of those things that I just get tired of all that the negative stuff, and so I tend to filter these things out more and more as I grow.
Yeah, but you got to stay on top of that, because you know what? When people start shutting stuff down, that's when stuff like this really start happening. The reason this case is coming back out is because Tyler Perry offered a $100,000 reward for any information leading to the location of the man's or any information leading to an arrest in this case. Al Sharpton of the National Action Network and Ben Jealous, president and CEO of the NAACP, also joined Tyler Perry in raising awareness of the cause. The disappearance was covered by many different news agencies and shows, such as Investigations Discovery, Series Disappears, and other agencies. And we're going to go into depth tonight into this case. We want to bring awareness to everybody back here, because people need to be aware of what's going on out here. And this case alone, I want to say this to everybody, brings back memories of the 1964 case out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. Okay, when a deputy sheriff arrested 3 civil rights workers. Okay, and then turned them over to the Ku Klux Klan, and they was killed and buried in the earthen dam right there in Mississippi. So this has happened before, and now we're talking about in 2004. Almost 50 years later, the same thing happened again. So all our young millennials, such as yourself, Tony Stone, you have to get your young brothers in them, and everybody has to start learning their history.
Well, this is the thing. It's history, but like it hasn't. What you said, 50-something years. I'm sure that this happened way more times.
It probably had
than just now in that 50. So that's what I know. When I say I filter it out, I don't turn a blind eye to it and not pay attention to it. It's just one of those things that I've come to the conclusion in my 30-some odd years of living that this is the type of stuff that goes on and on normally.
We got to change
when
that.
People get mad and talk about, I was just talking to Nabeel, as a matter of fact, before we came down to the studio, and when people talk about Blue Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, like that is a point where that conversation is going nowhere, because anybody with any type of sense knows that there's no all good side and no all bad side.
That's correct.
So when in a case like this with this cop right here, like, so this is the case that's getting national attention. It's on the spotlight, right? So the thing is, whatever type of sicko this cop is, he wasn't. Nobody on the force thought he was an angel up until these people came up missing. I'm sure there were signs, and
You know what's Tony Stone? I'm gonna go in deeper than that, because after looking at this case, I don't think Deputy Colin Calkins is in this alone.
Okay. Right.
Okay. As we go into the case, you're going to see this isn't the first incident dealing with him.
Right.
Okay. And maybe had they deal with it the first time, they might not have this time. And I don't think Deputy Calkins even has the remorse thinking about anybody doing anything to him. Because I want to go back into this right here, okay? And I want our audience that's coming in to understand that this case out of Naples, Florida is very disturbing. And it's an older case that Tyler Perry is bringing back, but we have to put some light on it, okay? And it's a similar case to the case in 1964, where the deputy sheriff pulled over 3 civil rights workers, Cheney and Swartmer, and turned them over to the Ku Klux Klan, where they was later killed, okay? That
back in that time and times prior to that, that was probably the normal.
that was
the normal.
that
of the
was
day.
the normal
that
thing.
happened all
but,
the time.
But
this case, because these 3 civil rights workers, it got national attention. But
well,
those people, especially down in that part of the country, they did that on a regular basis.
and guess what? They're in the South.
Mhm.
This may be a regular occurrence in the South. This is
Mhm.
why black activists, voters, and everybody in the South has to wake up and bring up to this attention, okay? Because the only reason that this was even brought to light was because of a mother who continued to press the issue. How many people that didn't have nobody look after them? But we're going to go in depth in this because we're going to bring the light to this. As I said, we're going to go into this case, and we got some other stuff that we're going to talk about tonight. And then we're going to get to our foreign exchange student here with us, and we're going to talk to him a little bit and let him tell us what's going on with his studies here in the United States. But Terrance Williams and Felito Santos, yeah, that's who it was. Terrance Williams and Felito Santos went missing in 2004 and 2003. Under very similar circumstances in Naples, Florida. Both Williams and Santos were last seen after being arrested and placed in the back seat of a Collier County Sheriff's deputy car, Corporal Stephen Calkins. He claims that he was not going to charge them and later changed his mind, and the man was last seen after he claims he dropped him off at a Circle K convenience store. Okay, so people are telling the police that they observed this guy, as you're going to see in these 2 incidents, place a person in the back of the police car, drive off with him, never seen again. Okay. On January 12, 2004, 27-year-old Terrance Williams went missing in Naples, Florida. Williams was originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and had recently moved to Florida to be near his mother. He was a father of 4 children, and he had a roommate named Jason Gonzalez, who said he spoke to Terrance on the phone the evening of Sunday, January 11th, before heading to bed. Now, Williams had attended a party of a co-workers in an adjacent town, but he didn't have a valid driver's license, and due to be charged with DUI, his vehicle registration was expired. So he decided, which he probably should have stayed at home, he decided that he was going to drive to the party anyway. His roommate, Gonzalez, became concerned when he didn't to return home and he didn't receive a email from Terrance or text. He wasn't too worried because, they had a pact as being roommates. If I don't come right home, don't worry about me. But if I don't come within 24 hours, there's a problem. So he emailed Terrance's mother with his concerns. Okay. The Williams family called the police, but there was no records, as you heard on the tape, there was no records of the stop or anything. So at that time, Williams' aunt was able to track down Williams' vehicle, and it had been towed from Naples Memorial Cemetery. The tow records show that the car was towed by the request of Williams, who was stopped, and the signed tow sheet was by Deputy Sheriff Stephen Calkins. The family contacted the sheriff department and discovered that Calkins had neither filed an incident report nor an arrest report. Terrance's mother and his aunt went back to the cemetery the next day, who told her that they witnessed Calkins pulling Williams over, asking him for his identification, which he did not have, the employee stated. Calkins patted Williams down and placed him in the back of the patrol car before driving off with Williams. Calkins then asked the cemetery employees if he could leave the Cadillac in the lot. Calkins was witnessed returning to the cemetery about 15 minutes to an hour later and removing the Cadillac from the parking lot to the side of the road and throwing the keys in the grass. If you go back into that, I don't know if we can even get that back up with the chat room. I don't know if you heard the radio transmission when he called in and told him that the car was abandoned and stuff.
Yeah.
Following the witness statement by the cemetery employees, Williams' family repeatedly called the police station asking to speak to Deputy Calkins. He was contacted by a dispatcher and asked about the incident when Calkins claimed they have no memory of having a car towed on that day, and he claimed he did not arrest anybody that day neither. He was later contacted by the sergeant and had to somewhat better recognition of Williams that day, and he informed the sergeant that he stopped Williams because Williams was having car problems and towed the vehicle. Right there, that should be a problem right there.
Red flag.
Okay, a red flag. Calkins' supervisors asked him to submit an incident report. Calkins' report stated that he first came into contact with Williams at 12:15 p.m. after noticing that the car Williams was driving was in distress. Calkins claimed he followed Williams to the cemetery parking lot and that Williams asked for a ride to the nearby Circle K. Because he was late for work, Williams, who worked at the Circle K, according to Calkins, took him there after dropping him off at the Circle K and told him the paperwork for the car was in the vehicle glove department and that he had forgot it. Calkins claimed that he returned to the Cadillac and discovered that the proper registration was not in the car, and he felt deceived. So when he said he felt deceived, he called the Circle K on his work-issued telephone and asked to speak to Williams. The clerk allegedly told him over the phone that Williams did not work there, according to the report. Calkins then called in the license plate number and found that the plates were expired. However, further investigation reveals that the phone and surveillance record at the Circle K did not back up Detective Calkins' story. There was no sign of Williams or Calkins on the surveillance footage from the Circle K, and the phone records from his work cell phone show no call made to the Circle K. That's disturbing right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that some people should have went a little bit further right then in looking for this, because this is the part that when we pulled up and that we talked to Tyler Perry and some other people that was pushing this story to get it back out into the limelight. This is the disturbing part right here. The clerk and the people that was working at the Circle K never seen a police car coming in lot that day.
Mm-hmm.
They looked at the surveillance video, never seen nothing in the lot of nobody come in there. But this is just the disturbing part. A new lead in the case surfaced when the Mexican consulate in Miami contacted Marshall Williams to tell her about another man who had vanished in a similar fashion. A Mexican immigrant, Felipe Santos, had gone missing 3 months prior after Deputy Calkins claimed he dropped him off at another Circle K approximately 4 miles from the location where he claimed he dropped Williams off. Felipe Santos, 24, was a Mexican living here illegally in the United States, and he was staying in Florida. He had been living in the United States for 3 years at the time he disappeared, and he was sending money back to his family. At approximately 6:30 a.m., Santos was driving to work with his brother when his car was involved in a motor vehicle accident in Naples, Florida. Collier County Sheriff's Deputy Stephen Calkins cited Santos for reckless driving without a license or insurance, and placed Santos in the back of his own car. Santos was last seen riding away with Calkins. 2 hours after Calkins took this mail, the guy that was employing him and his brother and a Mexican ambassador went to the Collier County Sheriff's Department to bail him out, and they had no record of him even being stopped or arrested. Now, that should be really crazy to understand that. Now, 2 weeks later, Calkins was ordered to submit a report in this incident, and Santos' family filed a missing person report as well as a complaint against Calkins. An investigation cleared him of any wrongdoing because there's no evidence that any crime was committed, and they assumed since the guy was illegally in the United States, if the deputy let him go, he took off. Okay, that's the first case. Further suspicion was cast on Calkins when a recording of his call to dispatch requesting to tow Williams' car reveals conflicting statements in his report and what the recording described. And that's when he said that the car was abandoned, and then he found him. The other thing was when he said that he didn't see Terrance Williams. The problem is Terrance Williams has a fake birth certificate, a fake birth date that he only gives police officers when he gets in trouble, okay? And Calkins used that birth date when he called in over the radio. So that means he had to talk to Terrance. There's no way that any investigator can say that he didn't talk to Terrance. Okay, so he had to talk to Williams to get that birth date, and everybody knows. Now this is the problem that I have. Here's a law enforcement officer who has been the last person. I've seen people go to jail for less. Okay, they have 2 missing persons, last seen in the back of a police car by the same police officer, same story, and all of his information come back that he's lying and how to think. This is what I'm talking about, why we have to have our police department do better policing of themselves. This is the thing we're talking about, the CDP, the CDC, bias-based policing, okay? The community has to get involved. There's no doubt about that now. The community has to get involved. How many young men across the South is being stopped and the family don't know where they're at? That's the question being asked right now.
Well, you know what? With this case, with this case in particular, this guy is just like, I'm thinking a real sicko. Like, he's got a compulsion that he can't, a craving that he can't contain, because even after calling, so it sounds like it started off as regular calls. You know, he might have had some suspicion or whatever, stopped him, called it in over the radio. So he's leaving clues. Like, he's not like a sophisticated, you know, he's not Dexter or nothing, that type of serial killer. He's got some sick within him. Like, even after he's left all this evidence that he's had this interaction with these people, they're still coming up missing, you know, and he's the last person.
And he's the last person to see him.
You know,
so
my point is, like, with him, it's like some type of sick compulsion. Not to say that, you know, people are victimized every day, you know, by people wearing a badge and uniform, you know, for no good reason. But this is kind of a different thing where this guy is just like really sick in the head and demented, and these people are coming up missing, you know.
Well, the question goes back again. That has to be asked, as you heard Sheriff Deputy and them on the beginning of the thing. How many times have this taken place? And we're going to try to go back into, I don't even know if we can put that back up because that was the first lead into the thing. When he called in, the leads right there tell you something wrong when he tells the dispatcher he hasn't seen him. And then he turns around and call in, check 20 minutes later of him. And then he reports that he hadn't seen him and the car was there. Then they telling him that the graveyard people, the cemetery employee said that he's seen him. But I'm going back to the thing, Tone, this second case should have never happened.
True.
Okay. Because the main person of interest in the case was a police officer, the Florida law enforcement and the FBI was called in to work the case. Various other investigation texts was used, including covert placement of a GPS system on the Calkins vehicle and forensic testing of the patrol car. This is the case. I'm going to go into this. Cadaver dog was on the car and everything, and the evidence of the GPS was looked. His car was immaculate. Okay, no evidence. They're going to say Santos was last seen in the Green Shopping Center at the airport. He's an Hispanic male who stands 5'7", weighs 150 pounds. He has black eyes, brown hair, and that's all the information on him. Terrance Williams was 27 when he was last seen, and he was last seen in the area of East 1 and 11th Avenue North and Vanderbilt Drive at the Memorial Cemetery. Williams is a black male standing 5'8" tall, weighs 160 pounds. He has brown hair, brown eyes. He has a tattoo of a T above his left chest and a tattoo of E.T. on his right shoulder and a tattoo of Terrance on his left forearm. He has his left front tooth is solid gold and his right front tooth has a gold crown on it. Both William and Santos have loving families who love them and miss them both. The families has been without answers for over 15 years now and have been living in a nightmare. And no family should have to go through this right here. Someone out there has some information. So if you're listening to me in Facebook land, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, if you're in Florida, if you have any information on the case of Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos, please give somebody a call or call Crime Stoppers. If you have information, there is a $100,000 reward, and I urge you to contact law enforcement today. I strongly encourage anyone who has information, either on either one of these men or about the Collier County Sheriff deputies that may be involved, or any information on Deputy Stephen Calkins, to contact the Collier County Sheriff's Office and their Homicide Investigation Unit at 239-793-9300. Or if you wish to remain anonymous, you also can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-8477. That's 1-800-780-TIPS, TIPS. You know, Tone, that's a nightmare for a family. And we really need to go back into that area. And like I said, it brings memory up of the 1964 Mississippi case where that happened. And all of us need to really get involved with what's happening in our community right here. But before we go into the chat room with D Knows, I want to welcome Facebook Live and YouTube. Snapchat and Instagram is with us also. Russell Wilkins is here, but they're intermitting out there because of Ventura, California, Bel Air. They got the big wildfire. So, you know, that's really
that 405. That's usually that freeway he be sitting on.
Yeah,
right?
the 405 is the freeway. He be coming home on 405 and I-10. One of the two, they all tied up.
Look like the gates of hell right now.
You know, we got a bunch of cases coming in to us for the next 2 weeks. We're going to try to do something on our last week a little bit different. We're going to try to do something smile instead of taking up a case. But we got a lot of cases coming in that we're taking up, and we're trying to get the activists in the community together. We got a young man that we're going to try to get on the show to come in, and we're just going to do 2 hours with him. He ran for council to see what he's really doing, DeMar Sheffy. We're going to try to get him back in here. Adib, tell me what you think about this case. Nabeel. Move up just a little bit to the mic, Nabeel, so they can hear you right there.
First of all, I want to say thank you to people who are watching us live and then listening us from the radio. And I want to thank you to you guys as well for inviting me and sharing my stories after coming to America. My name is Nabeel, and I'm from Melbourne, Australia. And I have been here for a couple of months working at Highland Software as tech support analyst. And my experience in America is totally different than what I was told when I was leaving Australia. So that's what I was discussing in a car before with Michael, that things people don't see or don't hear overseas, because media want to show things which they want to let you to see. So what I wanted to share my experience with you guys is that how it feels when you go to the place, you heard of it, it's a really bad place. When you go, you gotta be careful. Don't go in the night, late night. Don't walk alone in the streets. If someone asks you for the money, you gotta give everything what you have. You just keep calm. You prepare yourself before you go to America. And since I've been here, I never got stopped by anyone, and I've seen nice people, and I have met a lot of people. I met so many friends in America, and I feel happy that I came and I explore America myself.
What kind of classes are you taking?
So that's a technical support analyst.
So you're more like an IT guy?
Yeah, I'm more like an IT guy. So if any problem with the applications or software or computers, we fix it.
Oh, you do all that. See, that's the job. So how long you gonna be here in the United States?
So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, and then I'm leaving on Sunday.
Oh, you're leaving on Sunday. Well, how long have you been here before when you started your studies?
So I've been here a couple of months.
And so then you have to go back home, and you're gonna up your studies there to finish your program?
No, so I finished my studies. This was just for the job, so getting some trainings to do the job, and then go back in Melbourne and start working there.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna be like one of those people like at Facebook or Twitter, where you're gonna handle all the accounts and come down and everything, and all the computer work for your job?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You see that, people? We have a iTech here, a foreign student here from Australia. And we'd like to welcome here today. So Facebook, welcome here. As you hear us talking about this case with Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos, as being a foreigner, do that make you nervous or anything?
When I heard of stories, so first of all, when I was in Australia, so we normally see on the news that America is full of problems. There are lots of problems happening, not just because of drugs or some guns laws or other issues, but we heard more of the stories about black people getting killed by cops. So from last year, I was keeping up with these news that talking about a lot of black people got killed, and then they're just trying to stop these things, but in the end of the day, you just can't stop every single thing, but at least you keep getting trying, to stop these things happening in the community, because America is not just for white people. It has to be for people of Americans. Because when I came to America, people said that Americans are like that or like this, and when I came and I met people in America, and I found like that Americans are different than what we see the image of America outside. So I found there's very much difference. So if you see that America in the news overseas is totally different than you see here when you're in America and meet people and listen to their views about other religions and talking about backgrounds and race. And after hearing about these guys, Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos, I felt really sad about these things, that these things are happening in a developed country where people can see. And then I wanted to discuss this thing that nowadays we see these things more often because of the social media, but I feel like these things have been happening for many, many years.
Yes, that's correct. Social. What we try to say is, and we had a big discussion on that, on the last previous shows. Social media puts it in front of you. It's a smack in the face. Before reality was there, if you didn't read it in the paper, and you know what they all used to say, if you want to hide something, put it in print. Ain't nobody gonna read it.
Yeah, that's right.
And social media puts it there for you, like Facebook put it right on hand. A lot of people wasn't broadcasting shows like we're doing. We was one of the first shows to start broadcasting live across social media platforms such as Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. So we're on Facebook Live now, and Facebook Live is also hearing our show as we broadcast across internet radio, and they actually getting it for free, so they get a chance to come in and out. And I want to say this to everybody: if you're on a social media outlet and you really want to hear what we're putting out, and you want to hear our good audio, go to STMK Radio 100's Facebook page, or to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 Facebook page. Click on that link, and you can hear our audio coming out, and it's in HD stereo. You really love that. So, as being a foreign student and here in the United States and got that bad outlook, you was on the flight coming over here. They didn't told you to look out. They go, you can't walk here. Once you realized that was not the case, what did you think then?
So my perception for Americans were totally changed after I met people at the airport. So my first point of contact was a lady, but a black lady. So when I met a lady, she didn't know me. That what's my background, where I'm coming from, what's my passport, what's my race or my religion. And she met me with a happy face. She, hugged me because we talked about some, good stuff. She checked me whatever, she had to do. And then they let me go, with a happy face. They didn't, as I say on social media, people talking about, too much, that when you go to border protection, in America, they put you in the rooms, they put a detentions and do a lot of things. And when I feel like somehow sometimes it's necessary for these guys to do a good job to protect this country.
I
for
tell
these
you what,
people.
Nabeel, you got treated better than I get treated.
Well, let me ask you, what type of visa did you come over on?
So I didn't need a visa. So what I did, I applied online a visa waiver program. So Australian citizens, they don't need a visa to come to America.
Oh, okay.
So for that case, I just got just a couple of questions from that guy, the immigration guy, and he asked me, why are you here and where are you going to stay? And I told him I'm going to stay in Ohio and I'm going to work for Highland Software. And he said, you're happy to go. But the thing happened after this. So I came and I started living in here, and I decided to go to Canada, to see Niagara Falls, to the Canadian side. And when I was going, the Canadian side, they didn't ask me many questions. They asked me the same couple of questions when I got told when I was coming to America. But then there's a story here. So when I was coming back to America, And then they got me out of my car. They said, just leave your car keys, phone and everything, and then just come to us and come with us. And then like 4 guys from border protection, army guys, they got me in the room. They didn't check me physically. They didn't touch me. They got me, sitting there, with other people. They asked me, why are you here? What are you doing? I said to them that when I came to America, you didn't ask me any question. You just let me in. No, when I'm going to Canada to see Niagara Falls and I'm coming back, and I know you're asking me a lot of questions. And he said, this is a part of the job we do. And I found out within that experience that for these guys to do a good job, I have a message for people who are traveling around, crossing borders, that when they're doing a good job or they're asking you questions, they're politely asking you questions, you better answer them nicely, not playing, games or, telling them policies.
Oh, yeah, Border Patrol don't play.
Yeah. So if you just, tell them that, I'm not entitled to answer any questions, I need a lawyer or something, that makes things, bad. So I feel like if you answer them nicely, they're going to play nicely with you. But then in the end of the day, I feel like after, visiting America, I feel like the story is different than what I have seen overseas about black people, getting killed. And when I came to America, I saw the same stories, but not people stopping me, in the streets. But so far I got lucky, so I don't know if it's the right thing or not. But some people told me you're living in Ohio, a better place. That might be the reason. But then when I, heard of stories in America about these people getting killed and, getting disappeared, I feel like, social media is bringing these things in front of people so people can see what is the reality. Back in the days, nowadays people can, hear us free of cost. Just all they have to do is just tune in and then that's it. Back in the days, people have to, go into the shop, spend some money, get some papers, sit in there. If it's sunny, go outside, you have to get a tea and then read about the thing. Nowadays you just, lay down on your couch, you just, put your headphones on and you just listen to the story free of cost.
Poison.
So let me ask you this: since you've been here in America, do you have you have the same freedoms over in Australia, or is there more restrictions on you there than here, or?
So I haven't seen actually restrictions in America so far. I don't know if I haven't lived in many places in America, but I feel like we don't have many black people, and then we have a better law for guns. So I feel like I don't see a lot of people getting killed I don't see any people normally getting on a daily basis getting killed because of guns or drugs. And recently I saw that government introduced this immunity system that if you give us the guns back, we will do nothing about it, and we just get the guns back from you. So I in my mind I was thinking that why don't other developed countries do the same thing, especially America, when people talk about in America every third or fourth person got a gun. So that automatically telling other people that this is messed up.
That's a tricky thing. Like, I mean, as long as the guns are made and as long as they exist, people are going to get their hands on them.
Well, America is the gun capital. So
right.
Again,
oh yeah, no doubt.
And you have to look at this. We were born on revolution.
Yeah.
So when you're born by violence, okay, and you heave violence, we just have to
That's
say
your
it the way
nature.
it is. That's
your
nature.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but let me
nature.
ask you this: what is the biggest crimes that you have right there in Australia, or what's the biggest problems you have in Australia?
So I was discussing with Michael before that in the car that we face normally family violence, violence against family, kids. That's more of the issue these days.
Domestic, okay.
Yeah.
What's the like we were talking about the law enforcement? What's the communities or the citizens' relationship with law enforcement in Australia as compared to here? Like, you see the temperature of the the situation in America. What's it like over there? Is that those same tensions and hostilities?
Yeah, so if we talk about examples, like if we talk about these guys, Terrance Williams and Philip's cases, that we don't normally see these cases like guys getting disappeared by cops, and if it's coming on the surveillance, and then they definitely get caught, and then they definitely get punished by this, and then you see these cases really in Australia. But if these things happen, people are really nice in the community, and then they really help each other. If you see one guy or girl disappeared or a kid disappeared, that would be a very rare case that they never got found. So you will see a community really fighting back, sharing on social media, sending messages to their friends and families, getting all together, making sure that we're living in a community where people are safe. So people feel safe. It doesn't matter if they're black, they're brown, they're white, whoever they are, or whatever their background is. As long as they're safe in that community and helping each other and making sure that everyone's safe in that environment, that's the most important thing.
Do the do the police officers carry guns over there?
No, you don't see police officers carrying guns. Normal police officers, no, you don't see them carrying guns unless special forces guys. Normally, these guys are just walking around without guns and just friendly people. You can talk to them anytime. If they stop you, they're really friendly. They ask you a couple of questions. They ask you, if there's anything wrong. If you're speeding, they ask you, what was the case? Why were you speeding? Are you rushing for the job? Is there anything wrong with this? So they don't just stop you, ask you, just put your hands on the shoulders or something like that. What I have seen on the videos for America. So these things are not normally. I haven't seen these things happening a lot in Australia now.
So they've got a pretty good reputation over there. Like it's pretty friendly. Or not, maybe not friendly, but it's a good rapport between the people and the.
Well, their police probably not revenue. See, there's a difference.
Yeah, the revenue is the biggest. I think might be the.
What do you mean by revenue? They get paid.
Yeah, but they get paid good enough money, and then also if you notice that in Australia people are getting hired. It doesn't matter, what their background is. They get hired by their ability of doing a job, and then they check them mentally and physically. So they don't just
As they
see.
should.
They don't see that, okay, this guy can do a better job. So they make sure that these guys are really mentally capable of doing a job in the community, because once they go out of the community, so they have to make sure they are friendly with the community. They're not just carrying guns and then killing people around and asking people some silly questions, where are you going, means any silly questions which I've seen. Normally people ask, police officers ask in America.
Carrying on like enforcers.
But let me ask you, wait a minute, Tone. Let me ask you this. So the police officers in Australia or in that area, let's say, do they do enforcement of laws, or are they more there for protection?
So they most of the time they're just for the protection. So they're just there for you to protect the community, because they're pretty happy for the community, because community is doing a good job itself. So if you see people living in the community, they're really friendly. They take care of each other. So we call it a neighborhood watch.
Right. So they're not an enforcement branch. See, that's what I was going into right there. See, our police are set up on a different level there. Our police are set up to enforce society rules and regulations. Their police is more set up to ensure that society rules and regulations are being okay, because like she said, the community is policing itself. And that's a problem with most of the communities around the world, maybe that we need to be going in looking at, because maybe we need to start bringing some of that here to America.
Right.
Where our community is taking care of itself.
Exactly.
Where the police don't have to come in and do enforcement of society rules and go to do what like foreign police do, protect their rights, from terrorists or whatever that they want to do, instead of trying to say, Tone, you driving without a license, or spitting on the grass, or something like that.
Get in line.
Right.
Yeah. So for following that one, so if I can give you an example of that you don't see people throwing bags or rubbish around. So if you see people in a train, so if you see like someone's throwing rubbish in the train, so you will see other people getting up and saying that, hey, pick up your rubbish and put it in your pocket or in your bag and throw in the bin.
And see, that's what I'm talking about with the people involved, because I can go back and relate to what you're talking about right there. When I was a young man back in the 60s, okay, the neighborhood, we didn't allow people to come into the neighborhood and trash it. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't allow people to trash our schools. We didn't allow people to break into stores and people's homes.
Yeah.
That's why you was able to leave your doors open all night and everything. Everybody had respect. If Miss Johnson down the street told me to pick up that piece of paper, I didn't cuss Miss Johnson out.
Yeah, you just pick it up.
Okay,
and
I picked it up. And if Miss Johnson wanted to come down and whoop me, I knew when Miss Johnson took me back down to my house, I got another whooping coming.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So I can understand right there where he's saying that. And being from Australia is a place that I always want to go. What is the countryside and stuff like that?
So most of the time, you don't travel in the countryside in Australia because there's nothing.
Now the Indian tribes are they still out there?
Yeah, so we call them Aboriginals in Australia.
Aboriginals, okay,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
So they're still there. They're towards the Darwin side, so Northern Territory state.
Do you hang with some of the Aboriginals?
Yeah, so I have quite a few numbers of friends there. So they like to live in hot areas. So they're not pretty much fan of cold areas. So
They would hate it here.
so they would hate it if they come right now because it's pretty cold. So
Well, you know what? We got our foreign exchange student here with us. We're gonna finish talking about the issues. The earlier case we was talking about was Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos missing out of Naples, Florida. And we want everybody to stay with us right now because we're going to go into the chat room with D-Knows. D, what is happening? And I see all the smoke on a Free Fall Thursday. We're going to open up the phone line. So let's go into the chat room with D-Knows.
Well, Chanel, it's Free for All Thursday, and the chat room is on fire, and they're letting their opinions show. Missing Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos. Real Deal 88. Why are you lying? Unless you have something to hide. Sarah Scoop. After putting Williams in his back seat, Calkins returned to Williams' car. How much time elapsed? How far could Calkins have gone in that time? Look for Mr. Williams in those places. Pop glitch. He was gone for 45 minutes before returning to rummaging through Williams' car. Ghost recon. Investigators need to see if the officer had access to a funeral home and the cremation furnace. Pop glitch. I was thinking the same thing since both incidents occurred by the cemetery. The cemetery employees were the ones who reported seeing him take Williams and put him in his patrol car. Lynn Dougherty. I just watched the show tonight, Deadline Crime. It's so obvious he did something to them. What a creep. My heart goes out to the mother and family. Was he ever convicted? Genevieve Blumenthal. You know that if it was a person, not a police officer, they would have been heavily investigated. It's not right that these guys get special treatment, as if they could do no wrong. And that's what's happening in the chat room with D's Knows.
AP Radio News. I'm Tim McGuire. A growing number of Senate Democrats call for the ouster of one of their own. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, in a brief statement, says while he considers Minnesota Senator Al Franken a friend, quote, he has a higher obligation to his constituents in the Senate and he should step down immediately. Franken's support crumbled after another woman said he forcibly tried to kiss her in 2006, resulting in now 7 women accusing him of sexual impropriety. New Jersey Democrat Cory Booker.
I think it's time that he steps down, and this is an opportunity for him to speak to the larger issues that are clearly being evidenced not only for his life, but also what's going on in American culture.
Franken's office says he will make an announcement tomorrow. Alabama voters cast ballots next Tuesday in a special Senate race between Republican Roy Moore and Democrat Doug Jones. Stephanie Thornton, who lives in Mobile, says the fact that Moore is still in the race, despite allegations of sexual misconduct made against him by a number of women, is embarrassing.
They think we're idiots, other parts of the country. Then you got Trump supporting him and backing him and saying it's okay.
In Israel.
This is a historic day.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praising President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
This is nothing more or less than a recognition of reality. It is also the right thing to do. It's something that has to be done.
But Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas says Trump's announcement leaves the U.S. without a role in the Middle East peace process. The European Union says it has serious concern about the impact Trump's decision will have on the future of the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians. This is AP Radio News. Winter driving can be dangerous, but there are some features that could save you.
You know about all-wheel drive, but if your vehicle doesn't have it, consider winter tires. They combine tread patterns and specially formulated rubber to grip those snowy or icy roads. Automated safety features can help you stop your vehicle if you're about to hit something. Features like automatic emergency braking and forward collision avoidance. And if you're about to drift across that white line, the lane departure prevention system can help guide you back to safety. Edmunds, the automotive website, has these tips. One more, don't forget the windshield wiper de-icer. It thaws wiper blades so they don't get stuck to the glass. I'm Rita Foley.
The government is reviewing a recent lifting of protections for Yellowstone area grizzly bears in light of a court ruling retaining protections for gray wolves in the Great Lakes. About 700 bears lost their threatened species status back in July. I'm Tim McGuire, AP Radio News.
Hey guys, it's happening with Snooki and Joey. So if you're looking to have a good time, please come over and check out our podcast. Basically what we do over here is we talk about celeb gossip, talk about cocktails, Joey being a hot mess, and we love to take celebrity call-ins.
Yes.
So make sure you check us out
on Apple Podcasts and subscribe.
All right, we love you. See you soon.
Bye.
You want to know how to stop the madness? Listen to STMK Radio 100 and keep it 100.
This is Christina in Savannah. I listen to STMK Radio 100 on my way home from work. Every Thursday, they keep it 100.
swinging the rod in Duluth free swinging flannel. Duluth Trading Free Swinging Flannel. Let freedom swing. Only at DuluthTrading.com.
Let's make this fast. You're used to accepting credit cards like this, but Square's new reader keeps you safer if you take cards like this, or like this. Square lets you accept every credit card for the same low rate. That's every dip and every tap, with no surprise fees. Deposits come fast, like as soon as the next business day fast. And with easy-to-read sales reports, you can grow your business fast. Accept every card, every payment, everywhere, and get paid fast. Get started at Square.com.
Knowing where you stand has never been easier, except when it comes to retirement. At Fidelity, you get a retirement score in just 60 seconds, and we'll help you make decisions for your plan to keep you on track. It's your retirement. Know where you stand.
This is Cassie Hawthorne from sunny California, and I listen to STMK Radio 100. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on Facebook Live.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100. Stop the madness.
Videos from one incident. Now, the LAPD has refused to release any of these body cam videos ever since the program began, but we obtained them from one arrest, and attorneys say these videos show a different version than what's in the police report. Did they catch you on the body cam there? I mean, the body cam video definitely was different than what your testimony was.
I have no comment, sir.
LAPD officer Samuel Lee left Van Nuys court after a defense attorney showed department body cam video that he says caught the officer in a lie. Attorney Steve Levine also says he believes it proves they planted drugs on a suspect.
He looked dumbstruck to me, period. He had really no answers.
We've obtained 12 body cam videos worn by individual officers on the scene of a hit-and-run incident in April. This is the first time we've seen video from the cameras in a real police investigation. LAPD has refused to release any of the videos since the program began 2 years ago. 52-year-old Ronald Shields was arrested for felony hit-and-run, possession of cocaine, and having a gun in his trunk. Officer Lee is seen here searching the suspect. He testified in court the same as what the police report shows, that the cocaine was found in Shields' front left pocket. But the video shows an entirely different story that brings up even more questions. Watch this angle from the beginning. LAPD officer Gaxiola picks up Shields' wallet from the street, shows it to Officer Lee, who points to the suspect as if to say it's his. He puts it back down, then steps on the street, bends over and picks up a small bag with white powder. It eventually tested positive for drugs. He goes back on the sidewalk, picks up the wallet, and motions to Lee, and appears to put the bag in the wallet. Now, if you're wondering why anyone would allegedly do this while being recorded, this could be the reason. You hear the audio and saw the officer's hand. That's when he actually activated the recording on the camera. But what he may not have known is that the previous 30 seconds is automatically saved without audio. And if you rewind those 30 seconds, that's where this all takes place.
It seems improbable that someone would tape themselves planting drugs.
Exactly.
So it seems more reasonable that when he turned on his cam, he felt he was recording at that point.
And didn't know it was going back 30 seconds.
Correct.
We saw the body cam video. You're putting it in the wallet. Why are you putting the cocaine in the suspect's wallet?
No comment.
Can you tell me, sir? Gaxiola hasn't testified yet and had nothing to say. The body cam video clearly shows that you're picking it up off the ground and putting it in the suspect's wallet. Why would you do that, sir?
No comment.
On the video, after he collects the wallet, he shows it off and brags about it to some of the others.
There's a little bag of narco in there. Where? See it?
Not just once.
Just so you know, sir, inside this thing, there's a little bag of narco.
Not just twice.
Just to let you know, inside his wallet, he has a little bag of narco, yeah.
But 3 times. And remember, the police report said it was found in his pocket. So how did the drugs get on the ground? Officer Lee says it fell out of Shields' pocket. Levine has another theory.
There's a little white square here in his hand.
He believes and showed this video in court, claiming it shows Officer Gaxiola planted the drugs.
It's right there. There's that little white square right above the ear of the searching officer. I believe the video shows that the drugs are originally in his right hand and he transfers them to his left hand. Now, if you watch, he looks down to make sure they're there, and that's when the drugs are planted.
But the judge admitted he didn't see it the same way on the video. Now, no decision today. The hearing will be continued in December. After we contacted LAPD, they looked into it tonight. They say, based on those videos, they are opening an investigation.
About being anti-police. You saw the police you could believe, and you now know the ones you can't believe. And anybody who believes that all police are perfect, that they don't lie, that they don't have the same biases and racism that the rest of society has, is living in a dream world. So this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for the timid. As I said, this is for the courageous who understand what the Constitution is all about.
Hey, welcome back. Facebook Live, YouTube. We are in our second hour, and we are talking right now about our CPC Bias Policing. And on the phone with us is our man, Saxman. What's up?
What's up, Sean? What's up, Tom?
Sax, what's going on, brother?
Man, I got some serious meds over here.
How them drugs feeling, man?
Hey, you on drugs there, Saxman?
The drugs the doctor gave you was some good stuff, baby.
well, Saxman.
That's how it all starts, Sax.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's legal.
Saxman, everybody want to know right now, so we might as well start it off and take the gloves off because the chat room's up and Russell Wilkins is gone. LAPD for the 16th Police Department cameras has shown officers doing things that they shouldn't do. What's going on with these cameras, man?
Well, you know, Sunshine, I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to be straight up. I've been pro-police since 86, since I came out the academy. I've been pro-police for 31 years, going on 32. But I'm always going to support the police. But I'm also going to point out right now, since Damian Parker's situation has brought light to these departments, has changed my whole perspective of the bias policing. I was fighting you with that at first. I remember I was fighting you about it.
I'm glad to hear that, Sax. Coming to
the
light.
Yes, you was. You was. And I was just being the narrator of it, but you were taking it there.
I was taking it there, but I have to look at it. I have to really sit back. You know how you have to have an out-of-body experience? I had to step out. And I had to look at it for what it really is. It's terrible. And I'm steady seeing it more and more and more and more on TV. They steady catching, not just Cleveland, not just Euclid. It's the left of state. It's in other states.
It's everywhere. I'm glad you finally coming to your senses, Sax. Because you weren't just playing the devil's advocate. You were the real deal devil's advocate, man.
Oh, my God.
But I'm glad,
After dealing with my doctor today and my psychologist, I had to come to the realization.
Them drugs is working a miracle.
Well, we have law enforcement officers in both chat rooms, and we got police officers from Chicago with us tonight, Chi-Town. And let me say this for the CPD officers, and this is Chicago Police Department, not Cleveland Police Department, that's in our chat room with us. Let me say this, and this is troubling, okay? Many cases with ongoing body cam scandals, like in Baltimore. They got dozens of cases that has been thrown out now. Baltimore alone is I thought Chicago was bad.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because Chicago just had 14 police officers. 7 is in jail right now facing 10 to 15 years for robbing drug people, collecting money for people to come out on the street, businesses. Another 7 has been put on desk duty. Okay. L.A., you got 5 police officers right now that's looking for getting ready to go to jail. But in L.A., they're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the body cam is throwing out hundreds of cases and damaging officers' reputation.
That's like the new. That's like the new DNA test. You know how when DNA tests came out and all these people who have been sitting in jail for 20, 30 years for murder or rape, and they begin.
That's a good analogy. That's a damn good
It's
analogy.
the new DNA, man. These cameras are exposing, all the stuff that the bad cops, that exist. These cameras are shining a light on them.
But you're looking at the thing. What I want to tell everybody is, if the police have to do better policing of themselves, the good police officers is going to have to step up and step out, because now in L.A., these 5 officers, there's one camera. Everybody else got their cameras on except this one officer. Okay, and I don't understand what they're thinking about. It may be just the heat of the moment or whatever, but they have to know, because in training, they're telling them your camera records 30 seconds prior to you turning it on. So whatever you're doing in 30 seconds is there. Baltimore, same thing.
But they shouldn't even know that. Like, whoever makes the cameras, the people who make them, they shouldn't even. The police,
there's no evidence to stop there, because it's the same thing.
When I was out, but I'm saying whoever develops them and makes the cameras, especially when it's going to law enforcement, they shouldn't even be privileged to that information, because they're going to use it to their advantage.
But see, this is the problem. You know why the information's out, Tone? I'm going to say this.
Because they're getting caught too much.
No. You know why the information out? The information is out because of lawsuits. They probably didn't know until somebody filed the lawsuit, because guess what? The manufacturing them, and then once the lawsuit come out, you can't stop it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
This is why everybody's asking for video now.
Right.
They want the camp, because Washington D.C. just fired an officer in a shooting. See, I'm going to bring it down. You could be 100% correct in what you do, okay? But if you don't activate your body camera, that's a firing offense, okay? Cleveland has a new policy that if I use force on somebody and the people around me don't tell, they could be fired. Okay, so if the police officers have to understand, if you don't police yourself, somebody else is going to police you.
Right, and that's the way it should be.
And when somebody else come in and police you, they're going to bring it down to you, and they're going to put it on there and bring it with you. But in the studio with us, Saxman, we have a foreign exchange student in here, and he's just here for he's getting ready to leave. Ahmed, go ahead and say hi to our man on the beat, Saxman.
Hey, it's me, Nabeel.
Saxman, that's a Bill. He's from Australia. He here's with us. He was telling us a little bit about their police department. But Saxman, this is the question that everybody's dying to ask you right here. Here we go. Is it fair, and this is coming from a police officer, is it fair if you get caught in a lie and your credibility is destroyed? Is it fair to go back over all your cases and start releasing those people out of jail?
Well, yeah, I say it is, because it's the same thing in a court of law for anyone else, any civilian. Once your testimony is shown to be incorrect, the entire case comes into question. So the same thing as the law enforcement. If it shows that you lied in a police report, or you lied in a testimony, deposition testimony, it's going to bring question everything else you might have done in the past. So it's the same thing as far as me. Police officers should be held accountable for the same thing. If you lying now, how many times have you lied in the past under the same circumstances?
Well, did you hear the case that we went over that we brought back out for Tyler Perry and them, Terrance Williams and Felipe Santos cases out in Naples, Florida, where they were stopped and put in the back of a sheriff's deputy's car, and they have been seen for 15 years.
What? Say that again.
Right, they've been missing for 15 years. Now, the FBI and everybody came in and they couldn't charge the deputy because it's a thing that they can't prove a crime is committed. I understand that, and I know a lot of people that's in jail right now where they didn't have a body. The sergeant in Chicago, he's in jail for killing his wife, and they never found her. Okay. And the problem here is this case reminds you, as I was telling Tony Stone, it brings back the case from 1964 with the civil rights workers, where the sheriff arrested 3 civil rights workers and then turned them over to the Ku Klux Klan. this may be happening, and this may be what's going on. I don't know, but this is very disturbing. But Saxman, the video cameras has upset law enforcement to a stage of, at this point right now, we're talking about maybe 35 law enforcement officers on their way to jail.
Yeah, because they can already prove that all those cases were where they had arrested those guys. Chicago was all they planted drugs, and they hold everything, the entire arrest record, their arrest report, all became questioned. So if you got one that could be tainted over the years, you got to go back and investigate it all.
And then
you got to go back and look at it all. You got to look at their testimony. You got to look at the circumstances, the evidence. You got to look at it all.
And then there's the case out of New York that everybody's talking about, where the Brooklyn man, the police went and got a gun out of his apartment, and then charged him with the gun. And his wife, luckily, she filmed him when they was at the apartment with a cell phone. Cell phones is a thing. Everybody has to understand. Big brothers, Big brothers watching you all the way around. And
homeless people got cell phones.
New York, out of the 67 precinct, the city of New York just paid this guy $25 million for false arrest and prosecution. He was stopped on a traffic stop, and the police officers told him that he had to give up information of drug dealers and where weapons were at. So he called his wife and told his wife to give the police the gun. The police went and picked up the gun, and then they came back and charged him. He spent he spent 20 days.
The old days of Sachi Hirsch and Beretta, no.
Right. Right. I have a problem with, as Johnny Cochran said, the Constitution. Okay, and this is something that everybody should be aware of and looking at. And this is the problem that I have about that. The Constitution. If we're not going to uphold the Constitution, then you know better than the people that is out there doing the crime. And and Saxman, since you're gonna not be with us for a while, because you're getting old, you're out there in the cold, Tony Stone.
I'm out here in the cold working. I'm dealing with crime and some of the worst weather in Ohio. I'm dealing with crazy people. John, you know me. I'm one of the coolest cops you ever want to know. I'm fair. I'm honest. I'm straight up. But when I talk to my community, because I still control my community, I know everyone. But these young kids today growing up just have a whole different outlook of police. Well, and they don't want to try to get to understand the individual.
Well, Saxman, in the chat room. Hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, Saxman, but in the chat room, they said there's a video right now for your city, Cleveland Police Department, of one of the officers on radio saying "fuck the police" and inside the police car, making a video of it, and he posted all over social media. What the hell?
Yeah, he's a new guy. He don't know no damn. He's a young boy, happy to be a cop, happy to finally make some money, and he's still young. These young kids today don't understand that you can't mix the two together. You either going to be a cop or you're going to be a thug. Which one are you going to be?
Right. Then
you can't be both. You can't be both.
Also, Russell Wilkins out of L.A., because he always up on that. He talking about
he always want to bust my balls
right.
too. I know.
He was asking, was that your partner in the video at the 4th District, the rap video? That's another case that Cleveland. This is shocking that we here in Cleveland don't really know about what's going on in our city. Okay, but we got people that's in the chat room out of L.A. and out of Arizona telling us about cases, because this is the first I heard about the policeman in the zone car making a rap video, "Fuck the police."
Oh, I saw that. With the mask on. I saw.
He just said he had a mask. And this is the first I heard that policemen, that some rappers with guns and everything went to the 4th District to make a video, and then the police was acting like they was arresting them, taking them in the video, and in the video they're doing Ice Cube. Wait a minute, what was the name of the NAA, or what was the one that made the video shoot the police or
fuck the police, NWA.
Right, NWA. They made a video like that with the police involved. They didn't even get paid for it.
So they was at the district, in the district parking lot shooting the video?
Yes. That's what the guy just telling me right now. They in the parking lot.
Had I known you didn't know about it, I would text you because I knew about it immediately after that.
But see, this is this is what I'm saying about we here in Cleveland. We're not even paying attention, and people all around is seeing this. And this is why, and as one person said on the thing right now, we have a black mayor, a black chief of police, and black officers running the police department, and we need a black president and a black attorney general to come into this city to tell them that they having problems. That's unheard of. Okay, and I can understand why the people feel that way, okay? Because we're talking about the taxpayers being left across the country right now with close to $100 million in making these people rich, okay? Everybody talk about lawsuits, but we're giving them to them, okay? And we're allowing the officers who commit these acts of violating the Constitution to go unchallenged. And that's what's hurting the profession right now. And I have to say that that is exactly what's hurting the profession. Is that?
Well, I remember back in the day, Sean, back during your old age, younger days, my younger days, back in the day, how we used to police each other was a lot different than what we suggest they do today. What we did back in the day, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, we checked each other physically.
Well, that's true too. But you know, Sax, I go back on a thing where I said maybe they need go back to the various violability law, where it was with trainers. If I train you wrong and you do something, then not only will the department accept the responsibility, they also can come back and put the responsibility down.
Exactly. Because I told you that a year ago. I said that's part of the problem.
Because the case out of New York, the police officer in the case out of New York has to pay $50,000 to the guy out of the $100 million. Okay, $50,000 not much. Okay, but he's the first officer out of a lawsuit that's being caught that has being hit before the taxpayers picked up the dime.
Gotta pay out of his own pocket. Yeah, that's another good measure.
And if you look at what's getting ready to happen too, Sax, I'm gonna say this because somebody telling me this. Wait a minute, hold on. I know this can't be correct, but I'm gonna ask Facebook Live and everybody else. Somebody just saying that the FBI and them raided our city hall this morning.
Yeah, they showed it wasn't in the dark.
They asked me the question. To chat room, I'm about to say this. You know I'm up on everything. I didn't know that our city hall got raided this morning.
If I'd have known you didn't know, I would have hit you up on that one too.
I've been in doing the shows. Chicago. I've been on the morning show with y'all, so that's my excuse. I was on the morning show in Chicago. I didn't get to see that.
Sax, what they was looking for?
I ain't gonna tell you.
well, my problem is that City Hall cannot afford any scandals right now. Okay.
Not right now.
And I'm really seeing this coming down the line, and I see judges changes because everybody has to understand two things getting ready to happen here is that the Supreme Court is getting ready to change the way unions do business. Okay. So the unions, just to keep it real, the unions may be on their way out. Okay. Because I know a lot of people have told me that works at Ford or that works at other places and like the city, that if they ain't got to pay the union dues and they still gonna get the same benefits of the union, then they're not gonna they're gonna drop out. Okay,
right,
and that's going to put hardships on the union, especially police unions where they have to pay legal funds. Okay, that alone will run the union out of business. Okay, at Ford, I can't see them actually getting out of the union. Maybe a small factory or something where you ain't making no money and the union really not doing nothing for you anyway. Because at Ford, you got to almost die to get put off that job. Okay, so that's a big thing right there. So, Saxman,
that's how you back in the old days. Back in the old days, it was hard to get fired off the department.
So
it wasn't, you get knocked out the department immediately now, but Back in the day when we were running around out the whole day, it wasn't easy. Man, it was hard to get fired from the job. You went through a lot to get fired from the job.
We didn't have all the problems that they're having.
No, we
right
didn't.
now. And you know, I hate to say it's the young kids and the people that hire, because guess what? The people that's training them has to be, you know, they're the old timers now. Okay, and if you go back, somebody posted right here in the chat room, posted the video of the old cops here in Cleveland. They got a guy that they chased all through the city and ran all through the Wood Hill projects with. Okay, and they got the guy, handcuffed him, and took him to the car. You didn't see nobody throwing punches. You didn't see nobody, and the guy was fighting with him, you know, a little bit, wouldn't give him their hands. You didn't see nobody throwing punches. I just watched the video with him that the guy posted up there. This is the problem. Michael Amiot Euclid, big problem. 18 cases of assault. Matter of fact, another one just came out that the FBI are looking at. The problem with this is, and I'm going to say this too with him, is that maybe he wasn't all wrong in that incident that took place when he got to that incident on the Short Center Drive, but those 18 cases followed him. So whether he was right or wrong, he was dead. And the problem is why it takes 18 cases for something to happen.
I got the solution to the to all the police woes for y'all. It's called Robo. The question, the answer to Sean's question.
I got the answer to Sean's question. Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say the answer to all these problems with the police department is RoboCop. Us in the technology sector, we're gonna put it into this madness. It's gonna be long down the line.
But you know what?
It's gonna be long down the line. But that's the only way we're gonna stop all the nonsense.
But you know what? If you look at the Detroit Police Department, that RoboCop was, I wouldn't mind that mindset. Okay. But the only problem with technology is when you get technology to start taking, like right now, our kids are going to be dumb. Okay. I'm just thinking about this. Look what's going on. If the TV if your phone goes off, you can't. There's nothing you can do. You ain't Googling nothing, okay? If Facebook go down, they're gonna go crazy. I was just looking at a survey and looking at a thing done where our kids don't even look up dictionaries no more. The library, they went across the country to different libraries for books checked out. They're down. They're not even making, you know how they used to have hardcover book, everything now is on files.
But see, the thing about it, I get what you're saying when you say they're going to be dumb, because they've got all the information in the world at the tip of their fingers. So it's like you don't really have to go out and do the research. You can just do it. But it's not like they're not really actually reading or studying stuff. Like, because you could talk to anybody nowadays and they think they're an expert on anything because they get on Google or something.
But you look it up.
Google lawyers, they Google doctors, they Google lawyers.
But if you look at us, Sax, when you look at us, okay, we're broadcasting all across the media, okay? We're doing internet radio. We're doing social media. We're doing all new things, AM, FM. Just think about your AM, FM radio right now. They are going to be obsolete, okay? To understand that with everybody, they're going to be obsolete where AM, FM, people talk about the football, okay? And we got an IT student right here that I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about this. So I want you to listen to what I'm getting ready to say, and then I want you to chime in. You look at this where they talk about the football ratings are down, okay? But people are not watching TV like they used to, okay? Like right now, if you have a smart TV, you can see our show live right now on Pluto TV because we're live streaming and Ustream TV. So you can watch us live. Our internet radio is getting ratings, okay? But we can't rate Facebook. We can't rate our streaming, okay? So people can be watching us and listening to us and everything, but they won't go to certain other stream locations unless we see, or they want it on demand. So when you look at that, how can you say something is down when they're not really doing the old way, you know, the Nelson ratings where
it's hard to measure.
Right.
But we got an IT specialist here. So what do you think about that?
So I think the technology is somehow it's good and somehow it's bad. So people think that the technology is making other people and kids smarter, and some people say it's making them, dumb. And the other day I was watching a news in Australia. They were telling us that the latest news service telling that the kid born today or going to get birth tomorrow is going to live shorter than us. Is because of the technology, because they don't go out and then do physical activities. They sit on iPad and iPhone, and then they just play games in there. And first of all, yeah, and then first of all, they mess up their eyes, and then their health. They sit there, they get KFC, and then they just keep play games, and and credit goes to those parents. They provide them these things, and then they give them iPad, and then just lay down there on the bed, just eat whatever you want, and keep playing games, but just don't cry. So I think parents needs to take some steps in order to stop these technologies handing to small kids, because technology is gonna go up. Whatever we do, we can't stop this technology. If you can see that back in 10 years ago, we didn't even have iPhone.
Right. So where do you see us? Let me ask you this question right here. Where do you see us? Let's say 5 years down. Are we gonna be past the iPhone to like? It's already a smartphone. I don't even know what we could call it if we get any more technology in it. But the iPhone X, I think they went to an X phone or whatever it is called. They're supposed to do it all. The camera can take pictures like you got a 35 millimeter real thing. So with all this technology and it's getting further and further to the way it is, where do you see us, the workers? Like you getting ready to go home to Australia, how many people are you going to put out of work when you?
So for recent research, people telling that Labor Party is going to go down as more technology is coming, in hands, and people trying to get more machines. Like you can see that they're getting auto cars, getting the drivers out of their business. And if you keep looking on these things, and they're growing and growing. So iPhones, as in sense of what we're gonna get, if iPhones got replaced like after 5 years or something, I think it's gonna be like humans, less humans and more machines talking. So so we will have more machines and transparent stuff.
So that means the workforce is going to really decline.
Yeah, so I think the Labor Party is gonna go down, and then human will be surviving for the job, and then machines will be there. Maybe a matter of 10 years time or 15 years time, but not later than that. So
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do you think the obesity in our children started when the technology changed?
Yeah, so obesity, technology is making, high impact on those things, because first thing that, running kids' life, and then kids, the health issues are really serious these days. And what I heard in Australia about American people, that they eat a lot of junk food just because they didn't have time. But they have time to, lay down, watch some movies, listen to music. It's just the laziness because of the technology, because technology is giving them everything they want. So they don't want to move, around, and then, say that, okay, I don't want to get up. Even they can. So I think technology is making really bad impact if we, look at it in sense of health issues and, family issues. But in other part, that if you look at the technology is giving us good things. So, I think that if we get good stuff and bad stuff, we have to take the good stuff, in a medium level, not just go, crazy. If you get a technology, you just go crazy about it. So
do Australians think Americans are lazy?
Be honest.
So I think that I've been to many places, so I think that people think a high number of people in America are lazy because they eat, junk food.
But let me ask you this question, since we're talking about technology.
He got caught,
Right. But let me ask you this. Do you have the freedom with technology in Australia and the other countries that you've been to as you have here in America?
Yeah, of course we have. So the developed countries, if you talk about third world countries, of course they don't have much stuff going on in there.
But I'm talking about, like, let's say Russia, where something is restricted, where they may restrict down what you can do or what you receive.
Yeah, no, they don't stop you to do, some special stuff, whatever you wanted to watch, but they make sure that you don't, go and watch movies like which they're trying to, sell, and then you just go into some fake websites and then watch in there. So they try their best to block those websites and then ask those telecommunication companies to block those websites.
So we was talking.
Is there a lot of black people in your country?
Yeah, no, I don't see normally a lot of black
No,
people.
he already said that. But let me,
I missed that part.
Right. Let me ask you this. We asked you before about what football. So y'all have a lot of football there, but is soccer y'all call football?
Yeah, we got a
Right.
football, so it's like NFL. So we got AFL, it's Australian Football League. So the ball's like the same you play in American football, but it's not actually a FIFA. So it's like it's similar like an American football, but rules are different.
Well, Saxman, getting back to the ending of, we're going to end our thing.
But wait a minute, Sean. I got another question for for your brother. Y'all do have bowling over there in your country, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody bowling.
Yeah, bowling.
Saxman.
Yeah. Because one of the PBA stars that they have in Australia, his name is Jason Belmonte. Have you met him yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you are familiar with him, right?
Okay.
Are you familiar with Jason Belmonte?
No, I don't know. I may no.
It's two Australian people that's in the PBA. They big time. I'm surprised you didn't hear about them. Jason Belmonte and Oscar can't pronounce his name, but they're famous. And I figured maybe you might have heard of them because they're from Australia. And you don't have much bowling in Australia, so that would be a really tight little group you've been heard about.
Yeah, no, it's not a lot, so that's why it might be, that's the case that I haven't heard of him.
Sax, bowling is a dying art form, but I will say I did see you on the video, man. Roller strike. You got a nice form there, man. You remind me of my guy from Kingpin. Who was that? Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Hey,
you should have called me the other night. I almost got a 300.
Well, Saxman, we appreciate you coming to spend some time with us. You're going to get yourself together, and we're going to have to get back with you a little bit because we got to take a quick break.
I'm just going to lay back down. And go back to sleep until, whatever.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back.
All right, now.
Oh, but hey, Michael Wilkins wanted to let you know this about your policing.
Either you're part of the solution or, goddammit, you are the fucking problem.
Hey, we had to do that for you, but we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we're going to be right back.
Been tuned into Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone.
we're back. Hey, that was Tone the Stone talking to Saxman on the line, and we was in our CPC Bias-Based Policing right there, and we started talking about everything. In Studio 51 with us, we have a foreign student right here with us, and it's been really a delight to have him here telling us about Australia and everything and talking about that as he sit here and listen to what we was talking about right there. But, in the chat room, I want to go back to this before we get ready to shut it down here, Tone, because they were talking about, we got the Chicago PD here with us. The Constitution is what we was talking about. We take an oath as law enforcement officers to uphold the Constitution. And everybody who listens to our shows and stuff, we talk about every problem, and we got this CPC Bias-Free Policing, and a lot of law enforcement officers don't want to come on the air and talk about what's going on, okay?
Right.
Because they're really scared. But if you do not come on the air and talk about what's happening and give people the side of what's going on out there, then they only have one side.
Right.
Okay. Our kids is getting all this stuff from social media, and they're looking at these cases, especially this one case in the wake of 500 cases being dropped. Now lawyers are coming in, and cities can go bankrupt. Okay, because now they're talking about in Chicago case alone, there's 1,200 cases that one police officer is involved with that has to go back and be rechecked. The judge is ordering that. Okay, you got a sergeant just pled guilty that's getting ready to do 25 years for violating somebody's rights. Okay, you got the police officer who killed Walter Scott in South Carolina. He just got sentenced to 24 years. Okay, and the judge had his scathing review when he sentenced him. Okay, you have to take it serious. Okay, and if they're not taking it serious out there in the field, and the police departments are not taking it serious, and everybody's trying to just answer a 911 call, we got some problems.
There was another case in Chicago with a detective, and his cases probably go back 10, 15, 20 years. And if I remember correctly, it was dozens of cases, but there were a few that were high profile where he was basically, he was being accused of framing people for murder, or, getting people, like falsifying cases against people for murder.
Right.
And they were, and some of these, like at least one guy that I remember, he's been sitting in prison for like 20 years, I think.
And that's the biggest problem. What can you give back to a person that spent 10 years in prison?
Oh, they'll never get that time back. But this case in particular, so there were 5 officers who were probably like part of a team with this detective or worked with him or whatever. They had some information on them, and they got subpoenaed to go testify, and they pled the 5th. And I know a lot of people are going to like this, but I think when it comes to police officers, people who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, like you just said, and enforce the law, they shouldn't get that same right to plead the 5th.
Well, see, this is the problem about being in society of laws, okay? See, just in society of laws, they don't change for your position.
No, but you shouldn't make the laws and enforce the laws.
But they don't make the law, they enforce it. It's different now, okay?
No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about people shouldn't, like lawmakers, politicians,
right?
They shouldn't make the law and then be immune from those same laws. Police shouldn't be able to enforce the laws and then use those same laws to make themselves immune from their offenses.
Right, and we're in the same situation with 45 right now.
Right.
Okay, same situation. So maybe what we need to do is go into our Constitution and amend it. That's why I want to talk to Mike. We want to get Mike on the show because remember Mike, well, especially Brother Black. Because Brother Black, the one that really got me kicking into that. That's why Mike got caught in a firestorm.
Right.
And the people in the chat room talking about that right now. And I do know something that yes, chat room, but I want to say that for when Mike's on the show with us is that, remember Mike used the N-word. Remember we was in there, and he came back with the 3 definitions or the 3 meanings. Well, there's not 3 there's 3 meanings, but it's 3 different words, okay? And I want to break it down for him. But for the chat room, yes, the the Portuguese, Spain is the way they refer to a person of color. Okay, and in Latin America, it refers to their brothers and sisters of color. But in America, that's a racial word made up just for that racial purpose.
Right.
Okay, and remember I told them 99% of the people use the word in the wrong content because they're using it the way it was made up here in America. But we're gonna get him on the show because we're gonna do a whole 2-hour show with him because I want to go back into the Bacon Rebellion with him and go back on some things of how that started. And with our foreign student here, man, we'd like to thank you for coming with us tonight, man. We really appreciate it. We
You're
really
welcome.
do. And you're going to have to give us a call from Australia and get all your Australia buddies and them and listen to the show with us and call us from Australia and let us know you're listening.
Yes, 100%.
And I want to talk with one of your Aboriginal buddies, man.
You know, this is something that we try to put across right there. You know, this young man has came to America, and this is something what Americans do not realize, the freedom that we have, but they don't realize how our country is so messed up. Okay, where here go a young man where they have very little gun crime, and everybody's enjoying themselves, and the community's policing themselves, and he comes here to America and he gets told all the wrong things about America, and then when he gets here, he sees that it's not what it really is. Okay, but on the back side of all that, Americans see the problems that we have, the two-tier system that we have. Everybody really don't see the two-tier, and it's not really a black and white system. It's the have and have not system. It's the 1%.
It's the community problem. So as I said it before, that if communities together, they're working together like we have in Australia, like Neighborhood Watch. If community take care of each other, like back in the days, as you said before, that in America in 1960s and 70s, people would take care of each other. Stop each other throwing rubbish around, and then police didn't have to come around and then shoot guys just for small stuff. And then for the same thing, I wanted to talk about those police officers. We've been talking about police officers, and then people getting disappeared, and then getting shot. And I wanted to talk about those things that when they hire people like in police department, they have to make sure it doesn't matter if they have guns, whatever policies they're trying to implement on on the society. But what matters is that they have to make sure they take care of the society. Their job is to take care of the society, not push them or push too much laws or make them struggle in the community, because they're there to do the job for the community.
And that's the whole thing, that the police officers cannot be occupied army. And it goes back there again, as I said, when we talked about 1967, 68, where the young man or the activist feel that the police department is occupied army, and that's where the problem starts at. Okay, because we did 2 stories here, and this is our part 8. Next week, if not next week, we're going to finish off with our part 9, and that'll be the final part of our CBC, and we're going to try to have some people here, especially we're going to get some politicians with us, because I want to hear what the politicians want to do about this. It's going to be a change from the top to the bottom. So we're going to have to see what the judges are going to do, because I see in the courts right now where the judges are making a change, where your word will not be held to a higher standard. Okay, and if you come into court now, you're being questioned. Okay, and your body cam's being reviewed, your reports are being reviewed, so you're being put on the spot. You're not given that pass there. And if you make a mistake, that's the biggest problem that I see what's going on, is that you're not being allowed to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, they're giving you the hammer on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone makes a mistake. So,
and that's not good for policing. Okay. And then I see with the community, you cannot condemn your police officers for everything that happens, and then you cannot condemn your police officers for dealing with problems that you deal with.
Yeah.
So we're gonna there's a town summit coming up real soon, and we're gonna get there. And I like to talk to some of the politicians about that and get with them and get them on the show. the biggest thing here with us, we're going into the holiday. So next week we're gonna see if we can get a politician with them. We're gonna change up. We're gonna see if we can get black with us. And for the people on Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, send us an email if you got a story you want to tell. If you want to come on the show, you want to sit down and talk with us. Roland Mitchell, if you're still watching this, man, drop me an email, man. I want to get you into the private studio and sit down with you and talk about some of the problems that we're talking about right now. A lot of people don't understand, Tone, that we address the problems, and we're an internet talk show. And we address some of the hardcore problems. We address some of the light problems, and we address a lot of Trump, but, we didn't want to talk about Trump the last couple of weeks because we was doing our bias policing series. And there's a lot to talk about like that, like Al Franklin's resigning, okay?
Right.
We're holding Democrats to a higher standard now, okay? Republicans is holding the line, okay? Democrats losing their seats, okay? If that's the case, then the community and the voters need to get out and vote if that's the line you're going to hold.
Right.
That you can't hold a seat for committing the thing. Okay, and I don't have no love for them because I said this before and I'm going to say it now. When they did Bill like that, okay, everybody was hanging. Okay? No love. It wasn't about 40 years, 45 years, 60 years, something like that. I think that I don't like shaming victims. I don't like putting anything on victims. And the only thing we're going to say about that, because we are going to talk about on the show, I think that it should be a limit to when a person could come out if they're not a child. Okay, I'm serious about that. But, it's almost that time. And Tone the Stone, what you got?
Man, face is big, I can't lose. Sugar bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the ramble down the yellow brick road, please believe at the end, ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
Hey, everybody right here on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. We've come to that time again. Tone the Stone, what you got to say to our good people?
Everybody, thanks for listening once again. We hope y'all enjoyed the show. We hope y'all liked what y'all had to hear and it gave you something to think about. I want to thank Nabeel for joining us in the studio today. Thanks, Saxman, once again for getting on the line, even though we be pumped up on dope. And same time, same place next week. We'll see y'all then.
Hey, we like to thank Bill for coming into the studio with us, our foreign student. And Bill, what you want to say to our good listeners and everybody, since this may be the last time that you talk to them here in America, but you will come back and talk to us on the show, right?
Yeah, 100%. I will definitely call you guys from Australia, and I wanted to thank you, everyone who was watching, who was listening. And I wanted to pass a message to them that make sure that you keep in touch with news and updates and, take care of the community and, take care of people, around you and show some strength about the community and then, respect the laws so the things don't go bad and keep the good life. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone.
Hey, we appreciate that. Bill, thank you for showing with us. I'm your host, Sean L. Hey, we only got 2 more shows of the year before we go off on our Christmas vacation and New Year's. There's a lot of things happening. We're going to be posting some stuff. We'd like to thank Facebook for really staying with us for the year because the year is coming to the end. YouTube, Ustream. We'd like to thank our 22 cities and the 5 cities that picked us up and then our streaming. Pastor Thompson, we'd like to thank you for listening. Roland Martin, Roland Mitchell, thank you for coming into the thing. James, thank you for listening with us. Hey, I appreciate all y'all staying with us. And I wish all y'all have a happy holiday. And until next week, you can hear us on demand and see us Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Ustream TV. And you can hear us on demand in Mixcloud or SoundCloud, or you can go to stmkradio100.com and watch all our shows on demand. Hey, I'm your host, Sean L., and I'd like to thank you for staying with us. And as always, peace, love, and happiness.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100.